In the wood yard were green and dry woods fanning out. Behind, a valley below. A pleasure for the eye to go. Wood pile by the buzzsaw. I heard the woodsman down in the thicket. I don't want a rick of green wood, I told him. I want cherry, or alder, or something strong and thin, or thick if dry, but I don't want the greenwood. My wife would die. Her back is slender, and the wood I get must not bend her too much through the day. Aye, the wood is some green and some dry, the cherry thin of bark, cut in July. My name is Burlingame, said the woodcutter. My name is Dorn, I said. I buzz on Friday if the weather cools, said Burlingame. Enough of names. Out of the thicket my daughter was walking, singing, back-tracking the horsehoof, gone earlier this morning. The woodcutter's horse, pulling the alder, the fir, the hemlock above the valley, in the November air, in the world that was getting colder, as we stood there in the wood-yard, talking pleasantly of the green wood and the dry. Quietly, and while at rest on the trim grass I have gazed, admonished myself for having never been here at the graveside, and read the names of my time-wanderers. And now the light noise of children at play on the inscribed stone jars my ear, and they whisper and laugh, covering their mouths. My darling, my daughter reads. Some of the markers reflect such lightness to her reading eyes. Yea, as I rove among the polished and lime blocks, I am moved to tears, and I hear the depth in "Darling, we love thee," and as in "Safe in heaven." I am going off to heaven, and I won't see you any more. I am going back into the country, and I won't be here any more. I am going to die in 1937. But where did you die, my wanderer? You, under the grave grass, with the tin standard whereat I look and try to read the blurred ink. I cannot believe you were slighted, knowing what I do of cost and evil, yet tin is less than granite. Those who buried you should have known. A 6-inch square of sandstone, flush with the earth, is more proper for the gone than blurred and faded flags. Than the blurred and faded flags I am walking with in the graveyard. Across the road in the strawberry field, 2 children are stealing their supper fruit, abreast in the rows in the fields of the overlord, Miller his authentic name, and I see the name represented here. There is that social side of burial too, long residence and the weight of the established local dead. My eyes avoid the largest stone, larger than the common large, Goodpole Matthews, pioneer, and that pioneer sticks in me like a wormed black cherry in my throat. No date, nothing but that zeal, that trekking and business, that presumption in a sacred place where children are buried, and where peace, as it is in the fields and the country, should reign. A wagon wheel is buried there. Lead me away to the small quiet stones of the unpreposterous dead, and leave me my tears, for darling, we love thee, for budded on earth and blossomed in heaven, where the firebirds sing in the fence rows, and there is possibility, where there are not the loneliest of all. Oh, the stones not yet cut. I am a creature from the North Atlantic. I will speak now of the circulation of my discontent, and of that dull unhappiness which, on the occasions of their excitement, all creatures describe. Total war has been uninstructive. A Krupp will rise from the classic flame. Civil war tears the heart, and trade flourishes doubly. The turbine moves clockwise on the northern surface. As long as its base stays, solutions outside that bind can come from Plato and Walter Brennan to no effect. A piece of celery, a head of broth, a carrot stick, a cauliflower stalk, crude vegetal tools in the hands of the knuckle-walkers. America is inconceivable without drugs, and always has been. One of the first acts was to dump the tea. The drug that furnished the mansions of Virginia was tobacco, a drug now in much disrepute. Sassafras, a cure-all, is what they came for, and they dealt it by the bale, although it was only a diaphoretic to make you perspire. People were so simple in those days. The Civil War saw the isolation of morphine, making amputation a pleasure, and making the block of wood between the teeth, which was no drug, obsolete. Morphinism was soon widespread among doctors and patients. At this date, interns, the reports tell us, are among the premier drug abusers of said moralistic nation. Rock stars, who notoriously have doctors, consume drugs by the metric ton, even as they urge teenagers to say no. The undercurrent of American history has been the running aches and pains of the worn path to the door of the apothecary to fetch cannabis and cocaine elixirs by the gallon. It has been all prone, all seeking Florida. Ponce de Leon was just the beginning of a statistical curve whose only satisfaction would be total vertigo. His eager search for youth has become our frantic tilt with death and boredom. In fact, we are farming death in Florida with far greater profit than we are farming food in Iowa. Elixirs are as multiform as the lifestyle frauds we implore. A cultural patchwork fit for a fool in the only country in the world with a shop called a drug store.